what really is brand identity? This is a topic that creates tons of confusion. The misuse of this term makes it difficult to create a thing called brand identity and to have conversations about it and to give it a proper value. It's very similar to other topics that I've discussed. What is brand? What is branding? But this one creates just as much confusion. What really is brand identity? 99% of the conversation around brand identity is not correct. It's more popular opinion, popular myth, we'll call it that, contemporary lore, as I like to call it. Well, we'll use sense making so that we can see what it really means. First, what is the incorrect usage of brand identity that we see all the time? Well, when the conversation around brand identity usually happens, it focuses nearly 100% on visual brand identity. So when people talk about brand identity, they're really talking about visual brand identity. But guess what? These are two separate things. The visuals and the brand identity are not the same thing. They are different and distinct. Now, the visual brand identity is included in the brand identity, but it is not the brand identity. That's like me saying, well, we're all familiar with automobiles. Automobiles have wheels, usually 4 wheels. So because it has wheels, does that make the automobile a wheel? No, it has wheels. That's one part of the many parts that it has. Well, it's the same with brand identity. Visual brand identity is just one of the many parts of brand identity. It is not brand identity. And so using this simple logic, we can see that the word brand identity, it gets shortcutted. It gets conflated, we can call it, with visual brand identity. And this creates confusion. Now, we've discussed a little bit about what brand identity isn't. It's not only visual brand identity, which, though it includes it, it's not just that. So then what is it? Well, we discussed in a previous video what is brand. Now, some will say that brand is the gut feeling that someone has about your business or your product. That's true. That's another way of saying this is, because that gut feeling is really just kind of saying the perception, right, that someone has in their mind about your product or your personal brand or your business. So that's what brand is. It's this perception in the mind. So now, what is the brand identity, though? Well, it's the sensorial aspects that communicate characteristics about your brand. That is brand identity. It's not just the visual. It's the sensorial aspects, all of them together, holistically, they are the brand identity. And they communicate many different aspects. They communicate the visual, that's one. Things like your logo, things like patterns that you use, visual style, typography, things like iconography. So all these things are some of the visual aspects. There's more to it, but those are just a few. But that's not the entirety of brand identity. That's just the visual aspect of it. What else does it include? Well, it includes the other senses, because these other senses also give brand signals they also help create that impression in someone's mind that is brand. And so the optical, that's the visual aspect, but there are also olfactory brand signals, olfactory brand identity. There's also gustatory brand identity. There's also tactile brand identity. And there's also auditory brand identity. All of these things combined are brand identity, not just the visual. And so 99% of the conversation around brand identity focuses only on the visual. That's not a complete picture. So it's no surprise that big brands that are able to create amazing things, how are they able to do so? Well, they're looking at the creation of brand identity. They're having a higher level conversation. It's the conversation that you and I are having right now. And I'm glad to present this new high level perspective to you. Why? Because this is the type of thing that elevates your brand to the next level. Whether it's personal brand, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, or whether it's an organization. So understanding what really is brand identity is key for building a brand identity and a brand experience that is memorable, that is differentiated, that is cohesive, one that could scale along with your business and its many different uses, one that can tell your brand story, convey the tone of your brand and your personality, and one that is ownable and legally protectable. So that's why these conversations are so important. Understanding what these things really are, not just what we imagine them to be, and not just what the internet says that it is, because the internet is not always correct. So I hope this video was useful, and I'll see you on the next one.